home from work here. So there we go. I flipped around the camera there. So there we go. So we're back here. I forgot to do something on my earlier live stream there. There was some setting I forgot. There was some check mark I forgot to check there, and I just remembered once I started live. See, I rushed out of work and I was so eager to start live streaming that I didn't see things right here, but hey, we'll try it again here. There's Clark. We're on Michigan Avenue here in Chicago, Illinois. We have a beautiful day here, September the 16th, 2025. We're after 5 o'clock, which is when I get out of work, and this is my evening commute home from work. So we see, yeah, working at office tower down that way, just a block south, two blocks south, Michigan Avenue here, and work for an architecture engineering firm. But here we'll head up Michigan Avenue here. We'll go past the Wrigley, the Tribune here. We'll cross Wacker Drive, and we'll see what's shaking here. And yeah, we walked at lunchtime there. We took a little tour through the loop, went by the Sears Tower. This morning we caught the Bean early in the morning, so if you want to see that stuff, you can check out those reruns here. Mikanori, thanks for coming back there. Yeah, sorry, I know you and Alvin were tuning in there. I didn't mean to kick you out there. I forgot to do a setting, so we started here, and we'll start the full live stream there. Thanks for coming back. So here we're crossing the Chicago River here, and yeah, it's pretty crowded. There's the Tribune, Intercontinental Hotel, the Wrigley Building. Look at this water taxi just came underneath the bridge there. Heading over. There's another yellow water taxi. There's a kayaker. There's a kayaker, and there's an architectural tour boat here. We'll keep heading north here on Michigan Avenue. There's the St. Regis. That's looking towards the lake there. So yeah, there's a solo kayaker heading down the river here. Let's see if we can pan this out a little bit. Look at that. Get the whole thing there. Yeah, Mikanori, how you doing there? Thanks for tuning in. Everybody else, welcome to Chicago here. Yeah, we're doing starting my commute home from work here. There's the Chicago flag. Yeah, so at lunch we saw there was a emergency first responder fair going on. They had a lot of booths and emergency response vehicles. We saw the bomb squad there. They had the robot that they use to dismantle bombs. I'll try to cut that out and make a rerun out of it. I think it was the most interesting thing we saw all day. I showed it to some other people, and they were like, "Is that real?" And I was like, "No, it was for demonstration. I wouldn't have got that close to that thing if it was real." There's the Wendella. It was all for display purposes only. There's the Wrigley Building. Trump Tower's behind it there. You can look back and see that beautiful skyline, the loop of Chicago. Hey, you can get your photo on the vintage newspaper. They got the old time camera there. And hey, look at this nice view to the Tribune and Intercontinental Hotel, the old Moderne Athletic Association there. Jonathan, how you doing there? Michael Anderson, Chris, thanks for tuning in. Mikanori, hopeful and blessed. Yeah, I think I messed up. Alvin was tuning in. I started the live and I had to stop and restart there. So thanks for coming back here. And Mikanori came back here. So here we'll head up Michigan Avenue, just walking home from work, nothing big. Hey, they got some Halloween stuff. Build-A-Bear, of course. And here's the Plaza Americas, Lou Malnati's. Hey, see, that's exactly what you want to do there. The wings over Mexico there, the Benito Juarez statue there. And Plaza Americas there. You can take your picture there with the wings. Kaleido Rolls. What is that? Rolls, I guess they sell rolls there. I don't know what that is. There's the Tribune Tower, Intercontinental Hotel. Look at that amazing facade we were looking at this morning, or the relief there on the side. Have I ever bumped into any celebrities? Strangely, not while I'm live streaming that I can think of, besides like TikTok famous people. But Probably the most famous TikTok famous person I ran across was Kenny in NYC. Oh, that motorcycle. NYCKB. Kenny with the Rats. He was in Chicago. He grew up in St. Louis. I think he was visiting his family. He took the train up from St. Louis, and I saw he was coming through Chicago, and I saw he was just walking past my building. So we got footage with Kenny from New York City. But before I live streamed, I would see famous people all the time. I saw Jerry Springer when he was alive, because I've lived in Chicago that long, when he was still filming for the Jerry Springer show, probably in the late 90s, early 2000s. I saw Kelsey Grammer when he was filming for a show in Chicago. He was staying, I think, in the Drake, and I saw him with a little dog. He had his pet dog with him, and he had the Fraser Crane grin on his face with this little mop dog, and I was like, man. Of course, I saw Dusty Baker when he used to manage the Cubs. He used to live. We know where Jeremy lives in Eugenie Terrace. I think he used to live in Eugenie Terrace, and so I used to see Dusty Baker, who now manages the Houston Astros. Is that right? He used to manage the San Francisco Giants, then he managed the Cubs. Who does Dusty Baker manage now? I forget. But I would see Chicago famous people, celebrities. Once I saw Michael Jordan, but it wasn't in Chicago. It was so strange. And there's Michael Jordan's restaurants right there. I've been at Crowbar the same time Dennis Rodman there. When I saw Michael Jordan, he was at an exhibition game in Dayton, and it was right when he started the beginning of the second three-peat. And they had an exhibition game in all places, Dayton, Ohio. And I saw him in a hotel, and he was shocked. I felt like I was in a Hanes commercial. There he is standing his BVDs next to his hotel door, and he's like, how did this guy get past security? But I was staying in the same wing as he was, and they for some reason, I noticed. I was like, man, there's nobody else staying in this wing of the hotel, and I don't think I was supposed to be staying there, but I think we were there all week or something, so they didn't clear us out. But somebody asked if I saw any celebrities, but I don't know. There might be something I'm forgetting. I'll have to think about things I cut out. But hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Chicago here. We're heading home from work on a Tuesday here. We got a beautiful weather evening here, Michigan Avenue, crossing Ohio Street. And hey, they got some scaffolding up here. So maybe this used to be the Under Armour. And Hubert told me there's a new store that's going to go in here. So we'll see what happens. And we noticed something new in the loop today. Yeah. This day, Mexico declared independence from Spain there. Yeah, Michael, thanks for the good info there. Yeah, so Ernie filmed the Mexican Independence Day parade there in Little Village, 26th Street on Sunday. We filmed it last year. I posted the rerun of that woman with the dog there. She dressed up her little dog with the little hat and the Mexican colors and flag, and the dog was dancing to the parade. It was great. So cute. But yeah, I noticed there hasn't been as many people flying the Mexican flag like last year and the year before. It was staggering the amount of, I got footage of it from 2 years ago. They clogged Michigan Avenue. They shut down Michigan Avenue. They all around town. And I guess it's a little dampened this year. We know why, but I still saw some people. There was the bike parade, and I saw some footage of at Wacker, Michigan, where we just passed. There was people celebrating Mexican independence, which I guess is today. So maybe we'll see some stuff tonight. I don't see anything. We saw a few people flying the flag, and we saw the Mexican flag at half staff today at Daily Plaza, along with the American flag and the Chicago flag. So here we're at Ontario and Michigan here. We'll cross the street. Oh, we're waiting for the left. No left turns. Okay, let's go. Nobody's turning left. Nobody's looking. Okay, blocks. So a block. You see where there's an intersection. See, this is the intersection of Ontario Street and Michigan Avenue. A block goes from one intersection to the other. So this is a block. See, this is a block. So All these buildings are on the same block. So that's a block, that's a block, that's a block. So when you count the street you cross, that's how many blocks. So if I say it's 3 blocks down, you cross 2 streets and it's either on the 3rd block or the next block. And blocks are like the grid of the city, you know, bounded by streets on all 4 sides. That's what a block is. Does that make sense? Is there a better definition? Yeah, I know that the terminology is different for different, there might be a different British term here. Here's some scooters here. And so he was trying to do some tricks there, I guess, for the camera. Hey, thanks for tuning in, Chicago. There's the Nike store there. We went by it this morning. Here's the Allerton Tip Top Tap. Thanks for tuning in there. How's everybody doing here? This is my commute home from work. We're by the giant Starbucks. We're by the giant Starbucks here. Here's the 4-story Starbucks with the 1st-story roof deck. There used to be the Crate and Barrel. And that's Erie Street. So see, we just walked a block. Now we're walking another block. So yeah, we got pretty good. You know, some of our railroad bridges and other bridges are rusty and need paint and overpasses, but our sidewalks and our streets are actually pretty good. Yeah, you know, they keep this street really well paved. You see how they made it concrete here because so many buses go down this lane that it used to get a lot of potholes. But here's the Harry Potter store in Chicago. Of course, there's a Harry Potter store in London, and there's a Harry Potter store in New York, but this is the one in Chicago. It opened this spring. We were here for the grand opening, but here's the Harry Potter store, Michigan Avenue. There's the Patronus stag there for his spirit animal there, Harry Potter. And you go in there and get your butter beer and your magic wand and flying books and everything there.
We're at like a 3.5.
Yeah, let's grab Streetwalking cars. Go. Here's the Zara. There's the Omni Hotel behind the Harry Potter store. Yeah, good food. We got all kinds of great food. It's not the healthiest food, but it's good. Look at that window display there. They got the brushes there. That's nice. So there's a big bus tour. You can take that and it'll tour you around town. This is the abandoned mall. This used to be an urban mall, but it's been closed for 10 years. Sometimes people break in there and get some clandestine footage there. Yeah, the Polish food. Get some pierogies and kielbasa. Get some kielbasa sausage. Yeah. Polish. Get a Maxwell Street Polish hot dog. Yeah. So Michigan Avenue, Chicago, Illinois. That's the John Hancock, 875 North Michigan. We'll go by Tiffany's here. So we'll go by the water tower. Here's Tiffany. Reference to Tiffany's. Yeah, Osaka, Japan's our sister city there. So they got the nice display here in the Planet Median here. Get these butterflies. Yeah, thanks, Michael. Thanks for letting people know how to improve the picture quality. That's I'm using the YouTube app, so you got that option there. I think when I did Streamlabs, you didn't have to do it, but thanks for reminding people. Hopefully the resolution's okay. Hopefully it's adequate. It's not the best on the YouTube app, but at least it's not doing what it used to do to me before, where it would get all pixelated and not come back. I've been watching the reruns, and it's better than it used to be. So we'll still go with the YouTube app for now. You might see a commercial at the beginning. That's the box I checked. So hopefully I can make like 5 cents from the Creator Fund here. Here's Ralph's Coffee. And if you like this content, double tap the screen there. It gives a thumbs up and allows more people to find this content. There's the Park Hyatt. Nomi restaurants there. That's the Nomi restaurant. You can overlook the water tower. There's the water tower, Chicago, the John Hancock, 100 stories tall, 1,100 feet tall. And there's the Ritz-Carlton right there. And so we'll head through here. Yeah. Michigan Avenue. We'll get off of Michigan Avenue. We'll head over to Rush Street and we'll head up to Mariana Park. There's Water Tower Chicago survived the 1871 Great Chicago Fire. Sometimes they have art displays on the inside. I have seen people on that second level, but only for parades and stuff. When they had the Christmas parade, I saw people up there. And hey, the fountain's still on. We've got beautiful weather today. And here we'll go by I'll get a drink of water at this water fountain here. I'll let you look at the Park Hyatt and the Nomi here. And George Lucas supposedly lives at the top of this thing. So here's the horses used to drink right here. People probably remember when they had the horse carriages where you could catch them here at the water tower, and they would take you through the Gold Coast. Hopeful and blessed. How you doing there? So thanks, Michael, for helping out there. I'm glad I didn't even see whatever that was, so I trust your judgment. Thanks for helping out there. So these cars are turning right. They're turning right. Good. So the Ghirardelli used to be there. Of course, now it's down in the Wrigley building. Here's the Paul Stewart. There's Loyola. This whole block's still vacant. Right across from the water tower mall there. We'll go past the Lamborghini Gold Coast, the Quigley Center here, this seminary. But hey, look at the multicolored jackets here at Paul Stewart, Loyola University. There's the tailor. Sometimes we see the tailor working right there. There's the nice, that might be Harvey Loves Danger. We saw Harvey Loves Danger yesterday. We saw him. Hey, there's a Lamborghini that just it's turning around here in front of the Lamborghini Gold Coast. So here's a Lamborghini parked outside, and they're driving it on the sidewalk. So we'll be able to check out. I think that's what that is. Looks like a Lamborghini. And there's a Lamborghini dealership again, along with the Bentley, Bugatti, Maserati, Ferrari, Rolls-Royce. It's Joe Perillo here. So if you just joined here, we're in Chicago. Here's the seminary, that beautiful round window here, the Quigley Center. And here it is. It just drove up on the sidewalk, a Lamborghini here. Yeah, look how nice this looks. Beautiful. Look at that door. Look at the door. Yeah, there's the door. That's nice. See how the door comes down there. What a beautiful consignment vehicle. Very nice there. Yeah, there it is. So you can take it out for a test drive there. Look at those brakes. There, Bentley Gold Coast. Let's get the whole thing here. There, we'll get it with the Quigley Center there. Look at this nice, stylish design here. So here, we'll head around here. So look, they're gonna take it for a test drive. That's good. So if you buy a car, they'll give you a free watch here. Bentley Gold Coast, Maserati, Lamborghini. Oh, look at this cobalt blue or whatever this is. There, he's making the deal right there. Closing the sale. Joe Perillo, Lamborghini. There's a Rolls Royce. And they got an elevator lift here. They can lift the cars up to the second level. There's the Rivian dealership. The Tesla dealership's a block away. Chicago, Illinois, here, Rush Street. And there's the John Hancock. Okay, there's sister cities. A lot of major cities like New York, Chicago, LA, even like Cincinnati, I'm sure has sister cities as well. I know they have sister cities in Germany. You know, it's a program where, like, for example, Chicago's sister city with Mexico City and Osaka, Japan. Osaka, Japan is the second largest metropolitan area in Japan behind Tokyo. So Chicago at one time was the second largest city. Now it's the third, but we're sister cities. So it's just a PR like outreach. So, you know, like when we were at O'Hare, they have all the flags for the sister cities of Chicago. I don't know why certain cities are sister cities with certain cities, but Here's the how far we are away from all these cities. Here's the Jenny's Ice Cream, and this is called Connors Park. This is Connors Park, a little triangle park here on Rush Street. We're heading up towards the we're at the north end of River North, and we'll head up to the Gold Coast here. Does that make sense? Yeah, thanks for the time there. Yeah, LA is the second largest city in the United States. We know that. It's been that way since 1980. But hey, look at the heart on the tree there. Yeah, they spray painted it on there. This is a nice tree. Look at this really large tree here, surrounded by skyscrapers and giant parking garages. Subaru's leaving the United States. Wow. Does that have anything to do with the raid on the South Korean auto plant there in Georgia? That's interesting. So we'll look into that. Thanks for the news. Yeah, we learned today of the passing of Robert Redford. Robert Redford passed away, I guess, yesterday or today. I just found out about it this morning. He was 89 years old, of course, all the movies he was in. The Great Gatsby, The Natural, and The Sting, and he was huge in the 1970s and 80s. And, you know, he ended up directing films, just like Clint Eastwood. Robert Redford ended up directing movies. There's the John Hancock, 875 North Michigan, 100 stories tall. Here we'll head up Red Street. Look at the size of these hanging baskets. They get really large at the end of the season here. Thanks, I'm keeping you up here. Keeping you up late at night here. Well, thanks for tuning in to Chicago. And if you miss this, if you do fall asleep, you could check, you know, you could subscribe to my account for free so you can come back to it. And this rerun, the full live rerun, will be posted on the live tab. So that's the good thing about YouTube, is that if you miss any part of the live, you got to use the restroom or somebody makes a phone call, you can pause the live. And then just, you know, you can catch up to real time, or you can watch it later, or just rewind and watch it at your own convenience. But a lot of people like watching it live because you can interact, and I can interact with your comments as long as I see them. And we got a good group of moderators, and people keep things all orderly here. So this is called Rush Street. This is heading up to Oak Street, which is our Rodeo Drive. LA has a Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills, which is the fashion district, just like Fifth Avenue in New York City. So we got Versace, Dior, Brunello Cucinelli, Celine, Oliver Peoples. Here's Glossier, Madewell. But the real, you know, Prada, Hermes, Cartier. You go down Oak Street, there's some Chanel and some really high-end fashion shops, Armani and things like that. Here, Mont Blanc. But I'm just walking through here because it's on my way home from work. So I'm showing the high end of the luxury of the gold, you know, the stuff going, the commercial area for the Gold Coast, which is, you know, one of the wealthiest parts of Chicago. So this doesn't represent all of Chicago. That's why people are always so disoriented that they're expecting to see, you know, some movie version of what they expect Chicago to be, some crime-ridden hellhole with sirens, and we have that. Just fortunately, I don't have to walk through those areas to go home from work. I'm pretty lucky, I admit that. But I don't have a car. I'm not wealthy myself. I got a good job, and I appreciate it. But here's Prada, and there's Hermes, and there's the 900 North Michigan, which is Bloomingdale's Mall. So look, they built this. I guess can we walk through here? This, I haven't gone this way in a while, so they just added this. You can walk through underneath this scaffolding, and we'll head up to Hugo's Frog Bar in Gibson's, which is on Rush Street, Tavern on Rush. The Viagra Triangle, you can imagine why it's called that, which is kind of a pejorative, but people kind of laugh about it now because it's a shadow of what it used to be. There used to be more nightclubs and dance clubs, and people don't hang out as much easily, but the restaurants are still here. You got Hugo's Frog Bar, and you got Gibson Steakhouse. Tavern and Rush used to be there, and it moved over here. This used to be Nomi, or was that what it was called? And then that's called Bellevue. And then that's the Lux Bar and the Pancake House. But here's Gibson's, and we'll head right into Mariana Park here. Yeah, they got a, how you doing? That's great. Thanks for saying hello. That's good. I switched to YouTube, so hey, that's good. Hey, we see the photographers here. He usually sits here on nice days and takes photographs of the jet set that lives, that dines at the Gibsons there. We see these guys sitting out here, and he's got a perfect spot to take photos here. Here's the fountain here, Mariana Park. How you doing? Here's how you doing? How you doing, man?
How you doing, man?
Nice,
Good to see you,
nice
bro.
to see you. Yeah.
Man, you're awesome, dude. You're still incredible. I always watch you.
Well, thanks for saying hello. That's good.
That's
Joey, how you
Angel.
doing? How you doing?
That's Clarence.
How you doing? Yeah, thanks.
No,
How you doing? What a beautiful day. Thanks for saying hello.
Hey, thank you, man. The park
Yeah,
is beautiful.
as long-
Would
yeah.
you like gelato or anything to drink?
I would love it, but I'm heading home. I'll
buy
take
you
you.
a drink, man.
Oh, I appreciate. Oh, you run this?
No, I don't know.
I'll take the water. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Brian
Thank
is
you. That's
great,
good.
man.
Thank you.
He's doing the great tours
I
in
know,
the
I see
city.
him all the time on TikTok.
And I'm switching to YouTube because TikTok changed their terms and conditions.
Horrible.
So I know it's horrible. So I'm on YouTube now. So we'll keep the show going.
All
Thanks.
right,
Thank you,
good
sir.
deal.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks. That's awesome.
Toronto.
Yeah. That's great. See, look, friends and neighbors there. We see those guys all the time. The guy with the phone there, we know him. He lives around here, and they're always hanging out here, Mariana Park here. There's Whispers, the fountain. Thanks so much for the water. And friends and neighbors there, isn't this great? See, I feel more connected to our Chicago community. And hey, thanks for the water here. And yeah, I'll drink this. Oh, so there's gelato. My hand's wet from the water they gave me. So there's gelato. See in that to the left there, there's gelato, and you can go to Whispers and get juices, and I don't know what other drinks they got. He was gonna buy me some gelato. Gelato is Italian ice cream. It's like ice, flavored ice. And there's Lou Malnati's. If you want the real Italian ice, not that that's not real there. That's pretty good. Or no, the Italian ice is different than gelato. Gelato is the actual Italian ice cream. It's very good, very rich. But Italian ice is the flavored ice. And if you go to Mario's there on Taylor Street in Little Italy, it's still open. Well, no, did they close? I think they're only open May to, hopefully they're open to the end of September. I don't know when they close. They're only seasonal. And we went by there earlier this summer, and it was great to see people going there. The best restaurant? Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. That's a good question. I'll think about it and get back to you. People feel free to chime in. What do people think is the best restaurant in Chicago? There's a lot of really good restaurants. There's some really high-end ones like Alinea, which are very expensive and very hard to get into. You got to make reservations months in advance. You have like 14-course meals, and it's all these little bitty portions that are almost too pretty to eat. And I'm a pretty lowbrow type of guy. I'd rather have some good comfort food from a greasy spoon than have something that I would enjoy but feel guilty about eating, you know. Positive, negatives, everything. I would love to do some live streaming in Europe. Hopefully I'll get to the UK someday. About London's daughter was in Chicago one time. I know she's a huge live streamer there in England. And we were friends with people, Ulysses Odyssey in Paris, he streams there in France, and Demichi streams in the Bavarian Alps there in Germany. I would love to do some live streaming in UK. We'll let you know if we ever get that way. But I hear the President of the United States is going to make a second unprecedented state visit to UK at the King's behalf there, King Charles, so we'll see how that goes. And I saw they already put a giant, they're trolling him with the Epstein there with, you know, even in England. I'm sure the president's going to love that. So good job. So here we're at, this is Division and this is State Street. We just left Mariana Park. That's where we were talking to the nice guys there that gave me the water here. Thanks for that. And the ghost hunter. He's always eating food. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah. What's his name? Oops, sorry. I just went past there. Kalani the ghost hunter. Yeah. That's good. Missing Chicago. So, when I was in Cincinnati, we toured Union Terminal, which is Art Deco. It's one of the most beautiful examples of Art Deco architecture in the world. And we talked about how it was close to Art Moderne, and someone asked me to please point out some Art Moderne buildings in Chicago. And there's not very many of them because they're built in 1936 when the Great Depression. And this is probably one of the best residential examples we have of an Art Moderne building in Chicago. And this is on State Street, 1209 North State Street, here in the Gold Coast of Chicago. It's Andrew Rabori's the architect. He has other works that he's done in this just down the street. We'll show you another Art Moderne that he's associated with. This was built in 1936, and I ask you, see, the Union Terminal was finished in 1933. It was the end of the Art Deco period, and the Great Depression ended that. And then there probably would have been more Art Moderne buildings built, but it was during the Great Depression, and then the World War II, and then after World War II was over, they've already moved on to international style and modernism. So that's why there's so few Art Moderne examples, because there was no money to build them. But this is Andrew Rabori, the Art Moderne here, 1209 North State Street here in the Gold Coast, Chicago. Got the glass block. That's real glass block that goes to the 1930s. And then we'll cross the street up here and we'll show you another one. So here, I'll tell you what I'm going to do here. Let me put this water in my back pocket here, so I got a free hand here. I really appreciate when people give me stuff like water or food or stuff, but then a lot of times I don't want to eat or drink it right away, so then I got to hold it to put in my backpack, which is good. Same thing happened when I was doing the Bruce Springsteen concert at Wrigley Field 2 years ago. Crazy Dog Dad, that's what the first time I met him in person. He gave me some ice cream because he lives up in that area. And I was great, but I was like, here I had ice cream, I had the gimbal, Ronnie Woo Woo was there, and then Bruce Springsteen came out, and I'm eating ice cream, trying to film Bruce Springsteen, and it was a mess. But it was a fun night there. Here's, this is State Street, Gold Coast, Chicago. Chicago's crazy, yeah. There's always something going on. Look at those ferns on that balcony. Yeah, good memories, blessing and a curse. I wish I could forget my failings and remember my successes. That's so hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Chicago. Some chat box got a hold of my account. The algorithm's deleting or flagging messages left and right, so I wonder what they're saying here. I don't even want to know. And my mods are doing a great job. Thanks for tuning in. So this is called the Gold Coast of Chicago. There's a Gold Coast in Australia, but this is a residential area, has always been a residential area north of the Central Business District in Chicago. Even River North was historically much more residential than the Loop. It wasn't as high density as it is now. Historically, River North was more like 3-4 story residential buildings and some industrial stuff. And that changed. Now it's a high-rise, high-rent condo district. This, too, initially was a new money. The old money in Chicago, historically in the 1800s, the Marshall Fields, the Swifts, the Armours, the meat packers that had their business tied with the stockyards and the industrial stuff on the south side. They all lived on Prairie Avenue. Prairie Avenue had mansions and even areas in Hyde Park and Kenwood. After the Great Chicago Fire, this area was all destroyed. And so when it was rebuilt, the new money, it started when Potter Palmer moved into this area with his wife, Bertha Honoré. Bertha Honoré was old money. Potter Palmer was new money. They built their castle on Lakeshore Drive, and it was torn down in 1950. Jennifer You Should Eat talks about it all the time, as do I. This is State Street. So we just passed, this used to be called the Pump Room. The Rat Pack, Frank Sinatra used to hang out there. It was a place where celebrities, when they were coming from New York and LA, would, if they were entertaining in Chicago in the 20s and the 50s, they go to the Pump Room. And it was the celebrity, if you know, you hang your picture on the wall there, Frank Sinatra would sit in booth number 1. And even when we'll pass down this street, Hugh Hefner's original Playboy Mansion was in Chicago and was on this street. So you can imagine they would go over to Astor Street. There was an underground club there. And imagine what went on when the Playboy Club was going on here before they moved it to Beverly Hills. Here's the second example of an Art Moderne residential building in the Gold Coast of Chicago. You see how different it is from the earlier. There's a giant squirrel just came out of that tree. But this is another Andrew Vobori Art Moderne. Look at this glass block. Look at these simple forms. You see how it's a simplified, streamlined version of Art Deco, but very different. They use the materials. I'm not an architect. I'm just kind of making this up. But you see how nice this is, this little curving. But it fits within, just like a traditional building. It fits right within the lot there. This is, and they got a plaque here. Let's see, here it is. So, Florsheim House, Andrew Vobori, Edgar Miller. Edgar Miller was known for interior design, associated with the Carl Street Studios and things like that. Here's Bertrand Goldberg. Bertrand Goldberg was the architect of the Marina Towers, the corncob buildings there. And you can see how Art Moderne influenced Bertrand Goldberg, and that was modernism. That was actually postmodern. That was already beyond modernism in the postmodern once they got to the corncob buildings, because it was a geometric shape, but they added, you know, like those balconies and the texture to it. Mies van der Rohe would never have designed a building like Bertrand Goldberg, because Mies van der Rohe was the glass block. But here, glass box. Here's the original Playboy Mansion in the Gold Coast of Chicago. The Gold Coast is the name of the neighborhood. The name of the street is State Street. State and Banks. You can remember that, State and Banks. And this is the original Playboy Mansion in Chicago. Hugh Hefner bought this in 1959. He originally lived in Hyde Park. He had an apartment, but then once the magazine took off, him selling his smut there, and he bought this probably for a pretty good price. There was notoriously a pool in the basement with a trap door and a fire pole you could slide into the water there. Shel Silverstein, very controversial figure, lived here for a while with Hugh Hefner. And Shel Silverstein wrote Where the Sidewalk Ends. When we were all kids, we'd read that book. It was in every school library with all the little poems, Ickle Me, Tickle Me Too, and all that stuff. And if he was around with the Me Too movement, they would have destroyed him. But such is life. Here's State Street. And we're heading up to Schiller here, the Gold Coast of Chicago. No, we're heading up to Goethe. We're not at the Schiller yet. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Chicago. Cubs versus Pirates. Yeah, the Cubs magic number is 3. We'll see what happens tonight. Any combination of Cubs wins and the other people they're battling for the wild card race, if they lose, if it adds up to 3 by the end of the week, Cubs are in the playoffs. I think Milwaukee's must have already clinched. Milwaukee's the best team in the National League. Cubs are the second best, even though they're in the same division. That's why I think the Cubs actually have a better record than the Dodgers. You haven't got the notification? What notification? What are we talking about? Pittsburgh fan, how you doing there? Oh, you didn't get the notification that I was live streaming? Yeah, we've had problems with the notifications not working on TikTok. We have problems with the notifications not working on YouTube, so I'll look into that. If it's something I'm not doing on my part, I'll talk to McCrae. McCrae knows these things better than I do. I got a good team here to help us out. But yeah, see, there's good areas and bad areas of everywhere. You can name me any American city with worse crime than Chicago, because there are areas per capita that do. I've been to New Orleans. I've gone to, the flooded areas of the lower 9th Ward after Katrina. I've gone through the low-income areas of New Orleans, and I was more scared there than I was in Chicago. Trust me. Memphis, Baltimore. But you can take any of those cities. There's some really beautiful, nice housing in Memphis, Tennessee. There's some beautiful, as you can't imagine, in New Orleans, not just the French Quarter. You go to the Garden District, there's like mansions that rival this stuff. You know, like plantation-looking houses in New Orleans, in the city. You know, over by Audubon Park and City Park and all that stuff. You go up Esplanade Avenue. You know, it's just beautiful. And Baltimore has beautiful areas. So does St. Louis. You can take any, even I could show you a beautiful part of Gary, Indiana, and people are like, how could you show me a beautiful part of Gary, Indiana? There's a unknown part of Gary, Indiana called Miller Beach, and you can actually take the South Shore train there, and there's a nice little commercial district. You can walk like a mile and get to the beach. There's a beach at Miller Beach in Gary. Gary, Indiana has a beach. Most people don't know it because they only know of the part of Gary that's the downtown near the steel mill that's all bombed out with the abandoned churches and empty blocks and burned out buildings. And that's near the area where Michael Jackson grew up in the Jackson 5. But there's Miller Beach, which is kind of separated from that. You got to go one more train stop on the South Shore. And there's some beautiful areas on the Miller Beach, beautiful housing there too. And go up to Beverly Shores, which is another suburb by the dunes there. But here we're still on State Street, the Gold Coast, Chicago. This is a very important building. We show it all the time there. The old McCormick Mansion's there. And this is the Graham Foundation runs this. You can take tours of this. And I think Schmidt was the architect. You can see it's called the Florsheim House. I think that's what it's called. Look at this door. Look at the geometric shapes. And so this is moving towards prairie style architecture. Again, I'm not an architect. I just play one on TikTok, but this is YouTube. The Graham Foundation bought this. This was a private residence. There was like a ballroom on the top. These were the true giant mansions of that age. And they paid for the architects to do it. Schmidt, the architect, he was a contemporary of Frank Lloyd Wright. And you can see how they influenced each other. But this is not a Frank Lloyd Wright. It's called the Madler House. I said it wrong. It's not the Florsheim. It's the Albert F. Madler House. Richard E. Schmidt, the architect. Why did I say Florsheim? I was just making stuff up. Albert F. Madler House. Gold Coast, Chicago. And they got that nice courtyard there with they got the architectural fixtures. Some saved. Some of those are Louis Sullivan's. They saved from buildings of his that were torn down. The Graham Foundation. Yeah, the low lines. You see it's starting to move towards landscape. You see how this building's like a giant geometrical square. And but it is more horizontal than vertical, which Frank Lloyd Wright took it to the next level and really made the long, landscape building, long lines, long over balconies that jutted out. So eventually we'll get to Oak Park. I haven't done them yet. I'm still saving it. There's a squirrel. We'll eventually get out to Oak Park and do the Frank Lloyd Wright houses out there. There's some in Forest Park as well. And there's some in Chicago. We've already filmed the ones at Chicago. Roby House down there by University of Chicago. And there's 3 other ones there. There's actually a 5th one. There's a 5th one up in Douglas. Here's Dearborn Street, Gold Coast, Chicago. Beautiful housing. There's a group of buildings over here where the curving staircases are just amazing. These are amazing, these brownstones. Well, it's Richardsonian Romanesque. Look at that. Oops. And yeah, look at that turret there, the nice balconies here. Yeah, we're walking home here. Thanks, Taco. Thanks, everybody there. Tea time. Yeah, apartments, condos. Yeah, they built, so in the 70s, 60s and 70s, they built a lot of condos. The buildings like this would change hands and they would literally tear them down to build stuff like that. But here, let's cross the street here because there's a beautiful group of buildings here on Dearborn Street here, Gold Coast, Chicago. We're about 2 miles north of the Central Business District. And look at the flowers. Wow. See, this is like out of a movie. Better Homes and Gardens. Look at the Italianate cornice there. And they got the curving staircases here. All these have them here. There's like 4 in a row here, 3 in a row here. And this is the hot, and this is where we see our friend Fred. And look at that. Look at the 1516 North Dearborn Street. Look at that curving staircase. Look at the beautiful landscaping here. It's just like out of a romance novel here. Look at that. Look at those flowers. Wow. The light's hitting it there. I'm very lucky because I've been walking, as Fred knows, I've been walking by these buildings for 26 years. That's how Fred and I got to know each other. He always saw me walking by here in the wintertime with my sandals on. He's like, look at this hippie. Who do you think you are? And we've been friends ever since. And Fred's great. He's got some good wisdom there. Every once in a while we run into him. There's plenty of clips and reruns. So, Pete, how you doing there? So this street is called Dearborn Street. Dearborn Street in Chicago. 1516 Dearborn Street. You got it. And we took a garden walk here last summer. That we actually went with a real architect, not me. I just work with architects. And she was telling us all the history of a lot of these buildings. A lot of famous architects lived in this neighborhood. And beautiful buildings. So this is the Latin school, that's the middle school, that's the administrative offices, and there's the grammar school. The high school is over by Clark Street, North and Clark. And then we'll enter Lincoln Park, the actual park. And Lincoln Park's huge. It goes for miles, literally on the North Shore. And we're at the southern end of it, I'm walking home from work. Thank you. Thanks, Sam. Thanks for tuning in. Well, we've been doing this for years on TikTok. I'm transferring more of my content over to YouTube because TikTok changed their terms and conditions, and I saw some of my fellow content creators, people that had 1.5 million followers, get banned for technicalities because of a unthinking, uncaring algorithm that just funnels money into billionaires' pockets, and there's nobody manning the ship. And I'm sure YouTube's not much better, because from what I understand, if you want to talk to a real person at Google, it's impossible. You're talking to a robot, or you're talking to an endless series of web page links that lead you down a rabbit hole. Here's the Constellation. This is Schwartzman was the architect here. This is a mid-century modern, a true mid-century modern. Imagine how that looked in the late 1950s. Very sleek and posh, listening to your cool jazz there, and your Miles Davis record. Look at this is Dearborn Street. There's the Latin School. That's the 1550 North State Building. But look at mid-century modern, the residential with spectacular views. The top, they can see the lake. The other way, they see the whole skyline of Chicago. And $8 a month, really? See, they're just going for the money. Thankfully, I had over 100 subscribers that I told them to, cancel their subscriptions because I went over to YouTube. And you know what my subscription price was? $2.99. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you could subscribe and support my content like PBS. And now that PBS is gone, maybe I'll get some of their audience as well. I'll be the new Jeffrey Bear here of Chicagoland. It could be a constant pledge drive. Tap the screen. You don't even have to tap the screen here. You double tap it in YouTube. That's all you got to do at once. You don't have to sit there and endlessly tap the screen there to get the 200,000 likes. That was nice, but eventually even that got old. But the gamification of socialization, isn't it great? See, they're just milking us like cows. Tap the screen for more dopamine. Tap the screen for more dopamine. Tap the screen for more dopamine. There, I went and visited my father. My father's great. I love my father. My father loves me. This is the modern reality of modern life, and I'm sure you probably had the same thing happen to you when you visit your family on Thanksgiving or whatever. There we were. My dad, I feel bad because, here I live hundreds of miles away from my dad, and I need to go back there on weekends and help him out and stuff like that, and I'll be doing that more often anyway. But, hopefully. And there we were. I'm laying on the couch. He's laying on the couch. The TV's on. Neither of us are watching the TV. What are we doing? Both of us are just scrolling through Instagram, TikTok, Reels. We're in our own little worlds there. And there we were. Instead of, the first several days, we had deep conversations. We had dinners and built a fire in the backyard there and watched the sunset, and it was great. But then after a week of it, like if we lived together, we'd be laying there on the couch just scrolling through the TikToks, scrolling through the brain rot. But it gives you the dopamine, gives you the lulls, Oh my God. Here's Lincoln Park, Chicago. Talking like a fool here in the park, annoying everybody here. Yeah, walking home. Green space. Yeah, isn't it nice? Thanks for tuning in here. So, we'll see some tent encampment under this bridge. People are like, you never show homeless people. I'm like, you don't watch often enough. We go past this every day. This has been like this the entire time I've been living here. But here's, which is 26 years. Here's LaSalle Street, Lincoln Park, Chicago. I'll go quiet when we walk past the tents. They don't need some loud live streamer like me. I just don't want them to take it out on me because I'm just walking through here. But here's Lincoln Park, Chicago. We're heading towards the zoo. Hey, how you doing? Hey, thanks for saying. I remember you. I'm switching.
I keep seeing you.
Good. Why we're always. I'm switching to YouTube, so I'm just letting everybody know.
Okay.
I'll still be on TikTok. Thank you. Same name. That's great. Yeah, we run into her all the time. That's great. Friends and neighbors there. That's good. So here, we'll head through here. See, that's what happens. I'm always walking through here. I'm sure people that live in the Gold Coast or River North, they probably think I live there because they see me walking down the street every day and don't realize I live like a mile and a half away. Yeah, we've run into her several times, usually in the same area or over there, the lemon tree. And we got a nice rerun with her. She said hello. And I think she's always jogging this time of the day. So, you run into the same people when you're the same path here. We're driving. And here, holiday in Chicago. It's better than a holiday in Cambodia, I'll tell you that. But Cambodia is much better now than it used to be. So I guess we should be thankful for that. Cambodia is now in Gaza and Ukraine. Oh my God. So here they plant these trees. There used to be an older set of trees that they all cut down. The herons used to nest in them here, and it kind of killed some of them, and they were dying anyway. I think there was like Dutch Elm's disease or some beetle messing with the trees, so they had to replant these. But yeah, Lincoln Park here. You're on a holiday. Yeah, those are homeless people. The homeless encampments did get bigger after the pandemic. They're kind of I noticed them more in 2022, 2023 when they had when we go to Humboldt Park. When I went to Humboldt Park in 2023, it was significantly larger. But then they had the DNC, Democratic Convention, and then it was around the same time at the Supreme Court. It affected the whole nation, where cities could evict people from public property, which was people were challenging that in court. And when we noticed the Metro tracks, they cleared out all the ones under the Metro tracks. And last time I went to Humboldt Park with Chris, we saw Dan Cruz there, followed Dan Cruz with the drones. I don't know if it moved to a completely different area. In 2024, it was all pushed to one in the park. This year, I didn't see any evidence of homeless people in Humboldt Park, which is a big change, but that doesn't mean they weren't there. I just didn't encounter it where we walked all over that park that day. We went to the festival there by the Barrio Festival on Division Street there under the flags, and they at the art museum there, they had a wonderful festival. Oh, they cut down this tree. See nothing last. Every time we lose a big tree like this in Lincoln Park, I shed a tear. I know we just 2 years ago, or less than a year and a half ago, they cut down the giant tree in the zoo, and which was like, it was almost 185 years old or something, or 190. This one looks like about a 100-year-old tree. Look at this. Look at this squirrel. So here, Lincoln Park, Chicago. We're south of the South Pond, and this tree's probably stood here for 100 years. Look at the squirrel. What do you think of this squirrel? Did you used to live in this tree? They tore down your home? Oh, that squirrel's looking around there. So what happened to this tree? Looks just all rotted out. See, nothing lasts. Circle of life. Yeah, it's all hollow. How you doing there, squirrel? What do you say? You want to be on YouTube? What do you got to say there? Here I am talking to the squirrels again. Yeah, here's the, looks like it just toppled over there. It was all rotten to the bottom. Oh, yeah, it gets cold. I mean, okay, so people that have been watching my channel for years, you know I live stream in the wintertime. I bundle up and walk to work, and as long as sometimes we take the bus if it's raining or crazy, or sometimes I do work from home if it's like -10. But there's a permanent homeless population. We see it more in the Loop and like the lower levels there. But even there in wintertime, I've seen people. We talked to some of the homeless people after we had -20 one year, and they showed me frostbitten digits, and they slept outside when it was below zero. And in tents, they were insulated tents, and those orange tents, you can actually heat them. Some of them, they have like gas heat, but still, that's precarious living. Nah, the squirrel give us the scoop. Squirrel told me I was nuts. So what are you doing? Wasn't there like an alter ego to Bugs Bunny? It was like Squirrely Squirrel. It was like this, and it like got totally forgotten. Like at one time, like everybody knew who Squirrely Squirrel was, and then like it was never in reruns, so everybody forgot about Squirrely Squirrel there for Warner Brothers or Looney Tunes, whatever that was. So hey, we'll go by the South Pond here. Nuttier than a squirrel. That's on Clark. Hey, the South Pond, it's looking nice. Surface may be slippery when wet. We'll see if we see any turtles or ducks. We haven't seen the beavers in a long time, so I think they probably moved them to a different pond. And that happens all the time. The beavers find their way here and make a lodge, and then they disappear mysteriously, and then the new set pops back. But hey, there's the Grant statue across the South Pond there. Look at that nice reflection there. Yeah, we'll get it when we walk along this nature board. There's that nice view to the John Hancock. See, we walked right near there. We went by the Lamborghini. TF. Look at these nice reflections. There's Grant on his horse. Look at that reflection. It's just a true mirror image. Yeah, one night we walked past here. There was a full moon, and it was at night, and I had the reflection, and I did it to the Moonlight Sonata. Maybe we'll see that again. Yeah. Yeah, the beavers are builders. They're always damming everything up. Yeah, we see that gentleman all the time. He's a bird watcher. He's always got his binoculars, and sometimes he'll be looking. He's like, look, there's a bird over there. Some migratory bird. There's the Genie Gang Pavilion there. Looks like a honeycomb there. There's the Grant statue. In Lincoln Park, Chicago, Illinois. Look how this lines up. The Genie Gang and her studio gang, they purposely lined this up with the John Hancock there. There's the farm and the zoo. Are there birds there? Are there birds in that birdhouse? Let's see. Oop. Yeah, I think there's birds there. Look at that. Oh, look at these yellow flowers. Yeah, South Pond. Golden hour, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to get a really nice reflection. I think I'm going to have to go up to the bridge here. We'll get the nice reflection over the South Pond. See where they're standing up there? You can go up there. Oh, yeah, this is a nice, well-designed park. And it was different when I moved here. They did this about 15 years ago. And I remember when it first opened, I was excited. I was like, wow. Because it was different. It was they had like swan boat, paddle boats you could rent. And it was like a hard edge. Now they got a soft edge to the pond. But it's where the cows live and the farm and the zoo and the goats live in there. Man, that's a giant squirrel. We got reruns of the farm and the zoo here, Nature Boardwalk. Yeah, this is natural tall grass prairie. They worked hard on this. This is back every year. And it took several seasons to develop this natural tall grass prairie with the wildflowers. Different areas have different blooms, different times of the year, but it's always changing. And it's like a Monet painting. Here's, if you like the skyline views, this is one of the most spectacular views of Chicago, and we're going to see it with the reflection of the South Pond here. This is the near Armitage, just south of the Lincoln Park Zoo, Cafe Brar. There used to be a road, but they closed it to traffic, and now it's pedestrian only, and you get this amazing view to the Chicago skyline. South Pond of Chicago, Lincoln Park. I'll zoom in a little bit here. We'll get it. Look at that. Look at that reflection. And if I go even further, we can get to Sears Tower. We'll go on the other side here. The Cafe Brar, we'll head that way. That's all Lincoln Park. See, they're valeting cars. They sometimes park cars for events. And here, look at that. There. So now we can get the... There. So there's the Sears Tower is leaning against that tall building on the right, and the John Hancock's on the left. And here's the reflection. And here, let's turn this sideways here. Look at that. Look at that landscape view of the Chicago skyline over the South Pond here. Lincoln Park, Chicago. How's that look? Yeah, it's nice stuff here. Beautiful. Yeah, Grim Evil TF. Thanks for tuning in here. Yeah, Eugenie Terrace there. There's Eugenie Terrace. Look at that. That's the view right there. So, hey, thanks for watching on YouTube. I appreciate everybody. We'll do this last stretch here. There's the flowers. There's another view we'll get up there, and then we'll walk. There's a flower garden north of the zoo here, or adjacent to it. Cubs 2, Pittsburgh 1, second inning. Hey, the Cubs are already leading. Thanks for the update there. Yeah, Grim Evil. Gorgeous Sam, thanks for tuning in there. Hey, it's like wild mustard. That's what I used to call this, but it's really something else. Here's those pods, like those lily pods. What they call these? Yeah, silk pods. Milkweed. This is milkweed. Is that what that is? Get some milkweed. Thanks, Taco. I'm not laughing. It's just I'm laughing at the absurdity of what we're forced to do. Thank you. I appreciate that. Or endure. Here's look at that. This is this. Okay, so there's something going on at Cafe Brar here. Here's this comfort station, 1888, and we filmed those plaques here. Well, I'm going to go this way because there's a nice view. See, they're having a soiree up there. They people rent the out for weddings and stuff. That's probably why they're valeting cars. Okay, so yeah, there's a bird sanctuary at Montrose Beach. There's a bird sanctuary north of Belmont Harbor. The herons would nest above their migratory birds. They would nest above the wolves in the Lincoln Park Zoo. And we used to walk by the bird club. We'd have like a little binoculars, watch them and stuff. And yeah, look at this nice event going on at Cafe Brar. See, there's a skylight up there. You go to the second level. It's spectacular views of the skyline here, which we'll get right here. And hey, this moss is all cleared up. There was a bunch of muck and moss that almost filled this whole bay. And I left Chicago for 2 weeks, and now it's gone. So they did something. Either it all died or the ducks ate it. But hey, look at this spectacular view you get of the Chicago skyline here from the north end of the South Pond here. See, we were just on that bridge. Look at that. Yeah, good thing. Pete, Prince. Yeah. Thanks everybody here. There's a little waterfall over here. It's not natural, but it looks nice. Oh, the trickling of the little brook. Yeah. That's why I don't own a car. Somebody stole it and I just never got a new one. So hey, you can make fun of me if it makes you feel better. You got to look down on someone to feel better about yourself. Good. I'll give you a boost. I got friends in lowly places. Here's Lincoln Park Zoo. Hey, the Fall Fest is coming up here. It's September 26th, October 26th, there later this month. Hey, look at this cute dog. How you doing there? You want to be on YouTube? Yeah, thanks, Taco. Always a joker. Always the Infinite Jest. You ever read that book, Infinite Jest? It's like 1,000 pages long. It's longer than The Stand by Stephen King. Because it's an infinite jest. Yeah, rage baiters. Baiting the rage. Oh, I'm an easy target here, you know. It depends on my mood. They're lucky I'm in a good mood. I'm all relaxed after my trip to my father's place. Went to the country and chilled out. Just what the doctor had ordered. Here's yeah, so there's the Lincoln Park Zoo there. I'll have to call I'll call Mike back here. Call you back. There we go, good. So, I know what he's calling about. I know exactly what Mike's calling about because I saw that they brought formal charges against the I have to talk like a lawyer now. The alleged suspect in the Charlie Kirk murder, and yeah, a lot of new details came out, and I'm glad I didn't talk about it so much. I knew to wait till the official stuff came out, but of course the government's going to have their own view, and then the conspiracy theorists will have many other views. And what's the truth? It's what you can convince people of. There's no objective reality anymore. It's all what you want to believe. And I'm no different. I like going down the rabbit hole. But here, we're walking home from work here, Lincoln Park, Chicago, Illinois. Here's the squirrel. The squirrel's digging. said, don't you feel me digging? We saw that tree down.
Yeah. I mean, I just need
So here we'll walk past the Lincoln Park Zoo, and there's a flower garden here. We'll check it out. Oh, you saw that? You saw this? Thanks, T-Lime, Tea Time, for the Cincinnati live stream. Yeah, with my cousin Mike. Wasn't that great? He drove us around, and he knows that city better than I do because he works there. But I used to live in Cincinnati in the 90s when I went to college there. I lived up on Fairview and Clifton. I lived back behind the EPA. Went to University of Cincinnati. I like Cincinnati. I just like Chicago more. I know, no offense. How could you love, how can you love a city like this? And then I walk through all these beautiful, and they say, how dare you show these beautiful areas of Chicago? I'm like, this is why I live here. How dare you live in such beautiful surroundings? You must be an asshole billionaire. No, I rent a 1-bedroom apartment and don't own a car. Take the bus, walk to work. I don't have many possessions. That's why I'm walking around. That's why I like all this stuff that's free. How did I learn all this stuff is free? That's my lifestyle for my future retirement. Is I'll be sleeping. No, I'm not making fun of their situation, but I might be joining them, by the time we have to retire. Even though the stock market's all-time high, but we'll see what our money's worth by the time it's all over. Here's we're walking along Stockton here through the park, and that's Lincoln Park West. Neighborhood of Lincoln Park. We're by the Lincoln Park Zoo. Lincoln logs. This is where the herons used to nest. We used to hear them clucking up there. Scotland, how you doing there, Stuart? Thanks for tuning in there. Sometimes we walk by the Duke of Perth there. It's a nice pub. You get your single malt scotch there. It's up on Broadway, Lakeview. Used to be on Clark. Oh, hey, they're setting up the Halloween lights. Yeah, so this is the beautiful tree. At Christmas time, they set it up for Christmas tree, and then they're doing the Halloween lights here. Lincoln Park Zoo. See, Lincoln Park Zoo, this is the Stockton entrance. And look, they got the cranes out. Hey, we'll have to post this rerun. It means Halloween's right around the corner. They're putting the purple and green and orange lights on the big tree in front of the Lincoln Park Zoo. Look at all these cherry pickers there, putting the lights up there. Look, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6 booms working around the clock here, installing Halloween lights on this giant tree in front of Lincoln Park Zoo. Look at that. There's a newsworthy event. Here, let's zoom into the lights. Look at those beautiful Halloween lights. Oh, this will look nice at night. Look at all this. This is the best thing we've seen all night here. Look at that. It's like a merry-go-round. I'm gonna walk around all these things. Look at that. Halloween lights. Yeah, see, we got spooky. Hey, the big bus. The big bus is taking a tour past it. Look, yeah, they're checking out the Halloween lights here. Lincoln Park, Chicago. Where's this Stockton here at Webster? See, they're giving the tour. How you doing there? They say to us. See, Lincoln Park. Here's where we're at, Lincoln Park. See, Lake Michigan's here. This is Lincoln Park Zoo. We walked through the Gold Coast. Now we're here. We'll head up through the little garden here, the conservatory of the zoo. Lincoln Park, north this way. And there they got the Christmas lights here in front of the Lincoln Park Zoo. Fall Fest. They'll advertise the Fall Fest here. The zoo's knows what they're doing here. Fall Fest is going to be September 26th, October 26th here at Lincoln Park Zoo, Chicago, Illinois. Check it out there. And there's where you go. So we'll show you that once it's up. Yeah, you're right. We'll have to check it out at night. It'll be getting dark soon enough. See, look, the sun's already setting. So a month from now, it'll be dark this time. And we won't even be to Halloween yet. So here's, look how large these flowers are. This is the formal planting garden here north of the Lincoln Park Zoo. And the Lincoln Park Conservatory is up here. Look at these flowers. So I feel like a caterpillar here. There's the Schiller statue. See, they got some lights over there. I guess that's for the Fall Fest. So those lights are really for the Fall Fest, but I'm sure they'll leave them up for Halloween, because why not? They work. Or maybe they can leave them up for Mardi Gras too. Free admission. Yeah, free admission. Thanks, Sam. Thanks for the good info. Great concert. Yeah, they have concerts in the zoo. You're right. So here's this fountain. We'll get you to the Shakespeare statue here. Thanks everybody for tuning in on YouTube. And we'll put some reruns to TikTok. And yeah, I saw they extended to TikTok. We'll see what happens next. And I like the fact you can watch the full rerun here. It makes my life easier, just the whole pipeline. I'm not going away from TikTok. I still have a presence there. I'll post reruns. Look, hey, they got the nice engagement photos. Look at that. Beautiful. Walk through the garden here. Look at this setting here. Okay. So here, look at that. Yeah, so you get the fountain here, and you get the John Hancock. You got all these flowers. Look how beautiful this is. Yeah. Very nice. Look at the conservatory. Yeah, they filled in. They got bushy. Thanks for coming along, Jim, Sean. Problem solving. Yeah, social media is not for everybody. It kind of drives me nuts sometimes too. But we're all on it here, yet here we are. So thanks for tuning in. But yeah, it's good to take breaks. Pizza Lisa went on a retreat. I kind of took a break from live streaming when I went to my dad's, and I feel refreshed. I did still post a lot of streams, but just not as much. And still people are like, where you at? When you coming back? I'm like, let me take a break. You can turn it off. You can watch something else. But hey, that's why, you know, we're on YouTube. We'll have a smaller audience on YouTube, but that's okay. I don't want to be TikTok famous. I don't want to be mobbed like Icy Speed and who do I think I am? The Beatles. I just want to walk to work. I'm walking anyway. People don't understand that I did this for years before live streaming. I would listen to audiobooks, talk to myself, be all angry and brood about things. Then I learned to stop doing that. Then I learned how to meditate, think about nothing. It's great. Now I'm just like a zombie walking through here. It's autopilot. This is all an AI chatbot. Pigment rally. People are like, show your face. Prove you're a real boy there. How do I pass the CAPTCHA? I don't know. I won't miss that. TikTok. If you live stream for about an hour, you'd have to do a CAPTCHA. And they kept changing the CAPTCHA. And if you didn't get it on 3 tries, it would end the live. You had to prove you were a human robot. I felt it dehumanizing. You know. And we just think about that. Someday your boss will be an AI chat, make you feel stupid, and you'll read it, but it'll funnel all the profits to the billionaires out on their yachts, and you'll be sitting there still working. We're working for the machine now, you know. But hey, at least the market's up. Yeah, we all can retire with devalued money. Fiat currency. You didn't buy Bitcoin, that's your fault. Here's Lincoln Park West. This is Mona B Gabi restaurant at the bottom. And this is the Belton Stratford, 1922. It's always been a luxury residential residence. Sometimes a hotel mixed with residences. People have always lived here long term. Mona B Gabi, let us entertain you restaurant. There's a beautiful interior. Newly restored French Renaissance Revival. Second Empire, Beaux-Arts. How many esoteric names can I throw out to act like I know what I'm talking about when I don't? See, built in 1922. National Historic. Oh, the beautiful. Thank you, Tim. Thank you. The beautiful lobby here, just newly restored. So hey, I briefly lost my connection there, so hopefully I'm back here. Here's the interior lobby of the Belton Stratford here, of course. And if you go this way, there's Mona B Gabi, the restaurant. And then they just opened this place. And this is brand new here. And let's check out the menu here. I'll get you some information on this new restaurant here in the Belton Stratford here. Thank you, sir. So here it is. Wow. You got the outdoor seating here. So hey, I'll get you the name of that restaurant, and I'm gonna have call it a night here. So thanks to the mods there. We cut out there for a second, but hopefully I came back on there. And yeah, the uncontrollable scrolling. But hey, have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow after 6:30, 8 a.m. there. We'll do it again. So have a good night there from Chicago. Look at these beautiful apartment courtyard buildings here. This is on Lincoln Park West, just south of Fullerton, and the lake's that way. Have a good night from Chicago. Thanks for the gifts, likes, and follows. Thanks for tapping that screen there. Give me a like there. And Wes, Sam, Grim Evil, TF, Taco, everybody, we'll see you later. Have a good night. Appreciate it. Okay. Good night.